Welcome to Coastside Poetry. Thanks to those of you who've zoomed in and those who are watching on YouTube. We meet virtually on the second Tuesday of every month to celebrate spoken poetry. I'm Diane Lee Mooney, your host for this evening. Our featured poet event is being recorded and streamed live onto YouTube as we speak, so anyone can look at it later. We'll be posting the link on our website, coastsidepoetry.org. This evening, we welcome Elise Kazanjian. Elise is a San Francisco poet, writer who spent her childhood in northern China. Her work has appeared in New Verse News, the 2025 Marin Poetry Center's Anthology, Fog and Light, San Francisco Seen Through the Eyes of the Poets Who Live Here, the 2024 Nature of Our Times, and Poet Laureate Lee Herricks' Our California, among others. She has worked at Sunset Magazine as foreign editor, CCTV Beijing, China, and as a San Francisco pawnbroker. She is co-author of the 2024 Season Lightly with Salt and feels inspired when writing with one of her more than 100 ink fountain pens. She's currently working on a chapbook. Please welcome Elise.
Thank you very much, Diane and Steve, for inviting me to read a few poems. And I'm also honored and grateful to be here because both of you offer this wonderful site of coastside poetry, and that gives poets a chance to share poems and to listen to poems. And I'm also eagerly awaiting to listen to all of the people that will be on open mic because I know excuse me, that the poetry will be outstanding. This first poem I'm going to read is a pawn shop poem. And my husband Ralph and his brother Eddie owned a pawn shop. We're in the industry for over 55 years. We first had a pawn shop on Fillmore Street, and then we had one on 6th Street in San Francisco. And it was a family business. At least 13 members of our family worked in those stores at one time or another. And we had good relationships with our customers. They invited us to their family affairs. And some of them became good friends, came to our family events. So this first poem is about one of our customers who I really liked, and it's called You Remind Us of the World's Most Famous Painting. Number one. At our Fillmore Street pawn shop, you walk in, 3-inch heels, full breast strain, ache to be free of boundaries. You bring mystery into our small lives. You pawn the designer Rolex watch. Beautiful light-skinned face, delicate features, long-lashed eyes hold us hostage. Ethereal, you could easily adorn a museum wall. Ralph checks your San Francisco ID, calls you Fifi. You glare. My name isn't Fifi, it's Fifi. Accent second syllable, don't you forget. You give us a Mona Lisa smile. Conversation is thin. You are here on business. You get your pawn ticket and $500. A soft thank you slips from your lips. Number two, in the 1960s, you disappear. Justin Herman's urban renewal program bulldozes the Fillmore Western Addition. Victorian houses demolished. Stores, nightclubs, restaurants. Our pawn shop has to move. Thousands of residents lose homes and businesses. The urban renewal program, called Negro Removal by James Baldwin, takes over the city. Were you routed from home, fancy government name stealing your property? Is your home now part of the wasteland of empty blocks? Are you okay? Where are you? Like Mona Lisa, you're not talking. Thank you. And this poem is an anaphora, which is a formal poem structure. It usually has like two, or you can have more lines, but it will be a question and a response answer to it. And this was in this was a poem I wrote last year towards the end of the year because it was an event that held or happened very close to where I live. It's anaphora for a 16-year-old Galileo High School student. Why did the 16-year-old boy get shot by an unknown assailant? Because he refused to join a gang. Why did his mother, a recent Colombian immigrant, complain to the news reporters? Because the school and the police did nothing when her son was relentlessly bullied. Why did the shooter use his gun? Because the NRA, National Rifle Association, and the Second Amendment cite the right of the people to keep arms shall not be infringed. Why is it important to understand the language used in the Second Amendment, ratified in 1791? Because over 250 years ago, arms meant a one-shot flintlock musket, hard to reload. Why are guns different now? Because guns today are automatic, can rip a body into pieces, shoot 6 bullets in 6 seconds. Why does gun violence continue in the United States today? Because the NRA's lobby has not lost a major battle over gun control since the 1994 federal assault weapons ban expired. Why are there more firearms in the U.S. than there are people? Because the ownership of 500 million guns is part of a nationally accepted gun culture. And there's a footnote to this. The young boy recovered from the gunshot wounds, but exactly 2 weeks later in Atlanta, Georgia, a 14-year-old killed 2 high school students and 2 teachers. This is a lighter, on a lighter note. And this is called Fill the Spaces with Gold. Excuse me. I find beauty in brokenness, that space, that crack in the pottery, scented with yearning, has new meaning when you repair it with gold, like the Japanese practice of kintsugi. Kintsugi doesn't hide the rupture, but shows the grace and strength of a shattered object, the gold paste repair changing a former life, now regarded with a fresh eye. A metaphor for death's challenges, reveling in the treasure of what we have and had in mind, giving solace for healing, to accept that the chipped and mended is not better or worse, just different in a whole new, beautiful way. The repair tells of a story shared together, like a flesh wound scarring us and becoming whole again, listening at the junction of yearning and ending that no longer has the same beginning. Thank you. And like so many people that write poetry, I always am influenced by stories in the paper or national news or things that people have told me or I've overheard in a restaurant when I'm eavesdropping. And this is about a story that ran in the papers. It was an international story. And it was about Pope Leo XIV announcing that a 15-year-old was now officially the Catholic Church's new saint, and that he was officially a capital S saint, which is explained in the poem, because of his devotion to the Catholic religion and the Eucharist. And so this is a poem that I wrote in response to that news story. When I die, I want to be a capital S saint, just like Carlo Acutis, the first millennial saint appointed by Pope Leo XIV. There may be a problem. He was 15. I'm 90. One of the last saintly nonagenarians was Saint Anthony the Great, 3rd century. Reverend Anthony Gerber in St. Louis explains that there are capital S saints and lowercase s saints in heaven. Carlo is a capital S saint, pronounced infallibly in heaven by the Catholic Church. Until my demise, I hope to follow Carlo's example to ensure I too not only get into heaven, but am a big S saint. And it will be taxing. He observed a no-nonsense, daily religion, serious life, a hard act to follow. Carlo attended daily mass. I confess I go to the Armenian church mostly on high holidays, like Easter, to enjoy sumptuous delights, like horabia, a cookie that melts in my mouth. Carlo converted his peers and friends. Most of my peers and friends seem happy in what they believe and do not believe. I would be remiss trying to change them and probably would acquire a guilt complex which I don't need. Carlo launched a website cataloging miracles. I have trouble just with basic computer knowledge, let alone miracles. I break out in a sweat when texting, sending photos, or emailing big corporations, slamming them for their slimy practices in charging outrageous fees. Carlo is known as God's influencer. Frankly, I would prefer being a social media influencer like Masum Minawalu, who promotes women's rights and empowers people of India to succeed in their individual endeavors. Carlo's body rests in a glass-fronted tomb. The faithful come to pay their respects to this young saint. I assume I have another 10 years. At 100, my body will not be that great to look at. I will choose another burial practice. Meanwhile, I'll say a prayer to Carlo and hope that someday I can join him as a big S saint. And this is a poem that was based on a memory. And it was written, I wrote it in New York when we were there on one of the occasions that we did go to New York. I loved going to New York. And it's called Calliope Croons to Me on a Sunny Central Park Day. Ralph and I sit on a shiny green park bench, hold hands, breathe in the calliope music of New York's Central Park merry-go-round as horses gallop on a never-ending journey inside the domed glass enclosure. We are surrounded by nannies and mothers minding small tots, all of us enjoying the sunny day, the music, laughter, gleeful shrieks, and baby conversation. Suddenly, Ralph leaps up, runs to the ticket window, returns, grabs me and says, "Come on, babe, we're dancing our way onto those horses." Caught up in his joy, we waltz to the strains of a bicycle built for two and hear the sound of clapping from the audience now gathered. A little girl about 5 years old comes over. We gather her, hold hands, glide to the rhythms, relishing these euphoric moments when age and time do not exist. The music winds to a stop. We wait with Ruth, our new friend, and other children deciding which brightly painted steed to choose. I already know. It is the golden horse with a black mane, grinning her harmless teeth. Ralph helps me aboard. The calliope starts up for another ride on magical painted creatures who feel alive and ready to canter off to freedom. When I look back on that day 10 years ago, it felt like we were all under a Pleiades shower of exploding stars, streaking through a galaxy under a burnished sky and a forever universe. Thank you. And this poem is called A Pedestrian, and this also occurred recently, um, and I wrote a poem about it because I love the subject of the poem, The Pedestrian. At the corner of Van Ness and Bay Street, you crouch on the sidewalk, your beige fur scrawny, mouth ajar. Your tail hangs, flank skin loose, Head swing slowly, nodding to the heavy traffic. You watch from the curb. It's a red light. You sense cars do not stop for a coyote. Over 3 million years ago, your ancestors roamed the globe. You had few enemies until humans came. You were revered as the transformer, reviled as the trickster, worshipped for your yin-yang nature. The Navajo nations believed in your powers of fire and magic. Then the new Americans came and placed bounties on your head. Now, here you are in San Francisco, like so many homeless humans, uncared for, invisible, but adapting. I rejoice in your survival, trying to cross the road to safety on the wings of a prayer. Let's see. This one is this one I wrote very recently, uh, and it's about somebody in my family who's going through some hard times, and it's called Traipsing the Pixelated Path. Her words are soft. She parses them. Language tumbles out, spills from rotted teeth. She strings phrases together, hard for us to parse, upset we don't understand. She says, "You know what I mean." Her hands wave to replace words. She frowns, could be joy or grief. Her doctor calls it dementia. He's wrong. It is limbo land. She sideswipes reality, no stops. Calls the sheriff daily, rages she has been robbed. "They took my chair," she weeps. "We find it in a closet." She says glasses, scissors, garden tools, house keys, gone, hidden. Books helter-skelter on the floor. Does she pull them when darkness comes? 10 minutes are eons in her wobbly mind. She walks through doors that may invite me someday, a frightening thought. She drinks wine, her dog for company. He doesn't mind. By night, she's sundowning. He doesn't mind. So let's see. Um, I'm going to read one. This is my version of the Genesis chapter in the Old Testament. And not nobody else's, it's just my version. And it's called The Price of Adam's Apple. Time to set the record straight. It wasn't Eve, it was Adam. He coveted that forbidden apple on the tree of knowledge, plucked it in broad daylight. He couldn't resist that vivid red fruit, beckoning, promising unknown pleasures. It was probably a Fuji from Japan, enticing, exotic, different, a new taste treat. He just knew the smooth-skinned fruit would be outrageously succulent, crispy, divine, satisfying his sweet tooth craving despite Eve's warning about tooth decay. Adam always followed his urges, often provoking the head gardener. He would frequently take just one bite of a fruit or vegetable, leaving perfect, straight teeth marks, thus spoiling what was left for the lambs, Eve, and God in the garden. This did not sit well with God, who liked everything in its place and a place for everything. He especially did not cotton to anyone disobeying his orders, not even Adam of one-ribbed frame. And so it came to be. God decided to teach Adam a lesson. When Adam tried to swallow the forbidden apple, he choked, and because of him, every man since wears his punishment. How am I doing on time, um, Diane? Going for a few more? Okay.
A couple more. Yeah. You
Okay.
need another 5 minutes or so.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. This is called Conversations with the Eight Immortals and Shoshin, the God of Longevity. And as a child, I spent the first 11 years of my life in a city called Tianjin in northern China. My father was in business there. He managed an American rug factory. And we stayed there I stayed there from 1935 to 1946 after World War II. And so anyway, this is called Conversations, and this is about a carved camphor chest that we always had, and I still have. Conversations with the Eight Immortals and Shoshin, the God of Longevity. My mother told me that when I was a 3-year-old in Tianjin, China, I talked to the carved figures adorning the top of our camphor chest. Serene faces, gentle folds of elegant robes, and Shoshin holding a peach for life. 你好，先生，我很爱你. Are you well, sirs? I love you. With ear pressed to the lid, I listened and smiled, knelt with my mother while she opened the intricate bat-shaped lock. The aroma of camphor, a pungent blend of menthol, eucalyptus, tiger balm saturated the room. So many treasures, frayed sweaters waiting to be unraveled, sepia photographs of ghostkin whispering secrets to me in their pale voices, singing songs of old, gilded scraps of wrapping paper, lacy ribbons carefully folded, and many-hued wool skeins waiting to be transformed into winter clothing against the harsh China snows. Now, just as then, the chest with its cargo of memories keeps me afloat when nights are long and I can't sleep. Okay, and this is the last one I'll read, and this is called How to Read a Poem. Crawl around a poem, climb syllables, slide between the spaces, listen to the rhythm of marching letters, embrace the poem's crevices, take the plunge, dive into the center, savor all sounds, D, F, S. Roll them around in your mouth like fine chocolate, reeling your senses. Let your tongue caress each letter. Trace the echoes of a line. Hike unknown words that fascinate. Get into bed with a poem. It will pleasure you. Thanks very much for listening.
Oh, thank you so much, Elise. Especially love that last one. Um, let's uh let's unmute and make noises of appreciation. So
Thank you.
Splendid.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
Great.
Brava.
Bravo.
Brava.
Bravo.
Brava.
Bravo to you too.
Great. Yeah. That's
Wonderful, Elise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you
really
for being so patient and listening. Hey,
Fabulous.
Phil, I just saw you now.
we could keep listening.
it was an easy task.
Thank you, Elise.
Oh, thank you.
You take us to wonderful places, Elise. Thanks.
Oh,
Yes.
very kind of you to say that. Yeah.
Thank you, Elisa. They're also so personal and heartfelt. They're very touching. Really appreciated the reading.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, poetry. I think poetry is going to save all of us, I think. And so I'm grateful to the land of poetry and to poets. Yeah.
Delighted to have you with us, and we'll hear another one of your poems at the end of the open mic. So unless someone else would like to say something more, okay. We'll stop recording in a moment. Those of you in the Zoom room, please stay online if you'd like to take part in the open mic. Thanks to all our YouTube listeners. Please tune in for our next regular Coastside Poetry event on Tuesday, November 11th, when we will welcome Kathleen McClone as our feature. Thanks so much for joining us at Coastside Poetry and for helping to keep the lamps of poetry burning.